Your Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio.
on your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, our in-studio guests this morning are Dr. Maria De Leon and Mandy Exledia from City of Hope. Phew, that was a mouthful.
It's a tough one.
It is. Welcome, ladies. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thanks for
And City of Hope. Can you tell us a little bit about City of Hope?
How much
Yeah.
hope is there?
Plenty.
And you know we all believe that there is,
Yes,
especially for our seniors.
definitely. We are, obviously we have our campus in Duarte, which is known for research. However, we are here in the Santa Clarita community. We have community practice sites all over Los Angeles County. But specifically here in Santa Clarita, we're right across from City Hall. We've been in the community for almost 2 years now, across from City Hall since last September.
And across from my office,
I know. Hi, neighbor.
Now,
on the same floor,
wait a minute.
Right
Across
next door.
from City Hall.
in the West Wing.
On
That-
Valencia Boulevard.
That means all of those big buildings
No.
across.
New Hall Land and Farm Building. Remember
so
where
the
that
Skylight
used to be?
Medical Plaza.
Yeah, it's a two-story building. That's next to the Bank of America.
Oh yeah,
five-story
that's
building.
that's where I was. That's what I
Oh,
was
that's what
thinking
you're
about.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
two-story. Right, exactly.
2 stories. That's right.
Yeah, that's a medical building now.
Wow. Because I go to the Bank of America.
So now you can go to City of Hope.
Yeah, stop
Yeah.
by
Get a
and
lot
say
of hope
hi.
there, Barbara.
I'm sure I've been to your office before.
Probably. If
I'm
you've been
sure
to
I
the Bank
have.
of America and just happened to walk over
No,
next door.
there's somebody else who's in. There are a couple of attorneys up there. Bill Lively.
Oh, but he's moved now.
Oh, he has.
Yes, yes. He's moved over over at Cinema Drive and I think New Hall or Bouquet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So he didn't like you guys over there, huh?
No, but he was a different building. He was in the he was on the penthouse of the Bank of America building, which is right
Wait.
next to where we are. We're only a 2-story building. So, but
Oh, I've got to go over there now.
yeah,
and figure
just
out
follow
what,
the
what
hope.
you're talking
Follow the
about.
hope, Barbara.
Yeah,
It's
follow the hope.
It's
Well,
right
I have
there.
to go to the Bank of Santa Clarita, which is right down the street from Bank of America.
Right. Right.
Okay, all right.
We'll
I'll have
take-
to
we'll
check
take-
that out.
We'll take that. But City of Hope has been around much longer, and your campus is in Duarte, and you know you're coming into the community, and you know I've had just tremendous experience with City of Hope physicians, and
Thank
you
you.
know I think that it's clearly been an asset for all of you to now come and practice in our hospital, because it just brings a better perspective of what's going on in medicine. I mean, we have other organizations in Santa Clarita that do very well, but it really upped the par of everything that we do now.
Yeah, we want to be able to provide the community with great care, great specialty cancer care, and have the campus back it. You know, so when a patient gets diagnosed in the community of Santa Clarita, they can get treated here and know that they don't have to drive to campus, but the doctors at campus support everything that the doctors here are doing. It's a great convenience for the patient.
So the kind of medicine that you practice there is what? Or is it one
So-
specific area or
Yeah.
many?
We have many. So we have medical oncology. We have infusion rooms. Dr. De Leon here is gynecological cancers. We do general urology and urologic oncology and breast surgery
Breast
as well.
surgery, that's right.
We have general surgery as well too.
So are you mainly centered around cancer?
Mainly centered around cancer, but we do
Okay.
offer general surgery and general urologic as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You weren't up here when I had cancer, so I was referred to the UCLA oncology, who is Dr. Black
Yeah.
out
Oh,
here,
yeah, yeah.
He's
Alexander
excellent.
Black.
He's
He's
a
great.
very excellent physician.
So that's wonderful that you're up here, that you offer more services, because this city is really getting big.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And it
Not just
keeps
big,
expanding.
bigger.
Yeah.
It's definitely
And the
expanding.
outlying areas also.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting.
But medicine, in terms of cancer, is getting spreading as well and improving,
It
because
is.
especially in GYN, isn't
Yeah.
Dr. Dillon? The cancer therapy, especially with cancers like ovarian cancer, that has changed tremendously. And you do gynecologic surgery, and operating on those patients is not an easy task, is it?
It's not, but I love what I do. And the reason why I love doing GYN oncology is because not only do you get to do the patient surgery, so you're not only in the OR with them, you see them in the hospital, and then after that you get to follow with the patient. And it's really the patient and the family that you're taking care of. Most of the patients that I see, as you know, cancer is very common as you age. So one of the risk factors for cancer is age.
Age. Oh,
Yes.
dear.
Something that you can't modify, but there are other things that you can modify. Your diet, smoking, those are the things that you can modify, a lifestyle basically. But by the time the patient comes to us, they do have diagnosis of cancer, and we do offer the surgical management for the patient, and that's what I'm most involved in. And then if they do need chemotherapy, depending on their stage and the type of cancer that they have, we do have the medical oncologist available in the same clinic where I see them. And so while they're getting their chemotherapy, I do get to see them as well and follow up with them.
But let's go back a few steps, though. Also, the patients are coming to you with a cancer diagnosis, but I think a lot of our senior listeners, hear a lot of information on the news saying, "Oh, you don't need a mammogram after 70 years old. You don't need a gynecologic exam after 50 years old. Stay on these hormones, or don't take these medications." Well, can we go through a little bit for especially our senior women who might be listening and talk about the what now is the suggestions for our senior patients in terms of preventive cancer treatment?
Cervical cancer definitely is one of the things that we screen, and we do start them at age 21. And the guideline right now is up to 65 years old, provided you've had prior pap smears that are normal. Your 3 consecutive pap smears are normal. Then at age 65, you don't really have to do the pap smear. One thing, though, with the caveat that you still need to do pelvic exam. So just because you're not needing pap smears does not mean that you should not have a pelvic exam.
How often do
It's
they
every
need
year.
it?
It's an
every year
annual.
Until any
There's really no specific
because
time.
sometimes our patients who are 95 years old just have a problem getting up onto the table, let alone into the stirrups.
Right.
So, but still, if somebody is suspicious, they notice abnormal bleeding or discharge, that should be a clue, or pain or some kind of inflammation,
Right.
change in even their bowel movements is a possibility, but fever, chills, and shakes, not
Right.
feeling well. There's a lot of things that go along with symptoms that our body's trying to tell us
Right.
that you should say, hey, maybe I need to have this worked up. See your primary care that possibly then might get a referral to you.
Right, exactly. So for women who have, especially you touch on with ovarian cancer, they're very vague symptoms. You can have either bloating, or all of a sudden your pants won't fit anymore because your belly's getting bigger from the fluid that's accumulating. So little things like that sometimes people may think, well, maybe I'm just gaining a little bit of weight, or maybe this will go away. But definitely seeing your primary care physician is number one thing that I would definitely recommend, because from there they can do your pelvic exams, and if needed, they can do transvaginal ultrasounds, they can even do CT scans. So definitely seeking a medical help and getting the annual exams.
Now, everybody says, well, wait a second, I have cancer now, but why didn't you find that on my lab test 3 years ago?
With ovarian cancers, I'm going to give you an example. So women who have propensity to have ovarian cancer, breast cancer, are patients that have BRCA mutation. So it's a genetic mutation that you can pass on to your kids if you do have it. Those patients, so we've done a study, or United States and UK have done a study, can you screen for ovarian cancer? Unfortunately, the answer to that is there's no effective screening test for ovarian cancer, because You can do ultrasound now and even test for your blood, the tumor marker, the CA125. It may be normal today, but 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road, you can develop it's stage 3 advanced stage ovarian cancer. So there's really no screening test that is available, at least for ovarian cancer. For cervical cancer, definitely there is one.
So for ovarian cancer, though, I mean, because it was so hard to diagnose, we would see patients who were in the last stage, stage 4, and they're usually and typically their outcome would be terminal. But nowadays it's a little bit different. First, we're able to diagnose easier ovarian cancer, but once, let's say it's gone to an advanced stage and they need surgery, the surgical techniques and how they do things now is a little bit different than it was even 10 years ago.
Well, touch on with the surgical procedures that we do. By the time you touched base on it earlier, by the time we see our patients, they're already advanced stage 3 or 4. The reason being, again, is because there's vague symptoms and there's really no screening test for patients. The standard of care for patients still is to do debulking, where we take out all of the tumors and not leaving behind greater than 1 centimeter of the tumors. And that would mean doing an actual open procedure. Now, we do have different techniques for other types of GYN cancer. For example, uterine cancer. So uterine cancer, you do have symptoms that tells you something's wrong, and that is either abnormal vaginal bleeding or abnormal vaginal discharge or some crampings that you feel. And so by the time we do biopsy in the office and proven endometrial cancer, for the most part, we find those patients in stage 1 disease. And so for that, we do robotic surgeries for them, because they're early enough stage.
So you mentioned robotic surgery. We have robotics at Henry Mayo Hospital now.
We do.
And
I'm
robotics
very
is just
excited.
what it says.
Yes.
That it's the physician being able to use a robot to help extract out cancer.
It is. So it's still the same surgery. The whole point of doing the surgery is to take out the source of cancer. So we're still taking out the uterus, your ovaries, fallopian tubes, and we're sampling the lymph nodes. The one good thing about the minimally invasive surgery, so we'll call it minimally invasive surgery, is that we actually put small incisions where we put our instruments, the robot, and then the patients stay in a hospital overnight instead of staying 3 or 4 days if they do have the open procedure. Recovery time is faster, pain is much better controlled for patients, and they get back to their normal routine faster as well.
Absolutely. Just there's holes where the instruments go through, and I call them chopsticks,
Yeah.
because we're pretty much removing and using a scope to be able to see what we're doing. But it's it lessens the invasiveness, but allows the patient to recover a lot faster. So I think we're moving along very quickly in terms of the science of it, especially with robotics. But let's go to mammograms, and let's go to breast cancers and things like that, which, it's a little bit away from maybe what you do, but still, in terms of our listeners, how, every day, don't get a mammogram, do get a mammogram, and, everybody complains. It's, two organizations say one thing, and another organization says another, and then all the great women's groups come out and say, hey, don't listen to this group because it's biased, so get it at this point. So
Well,
who do we listen to?
I would suggest doing the mammogram on a yearly basis.
There you go.
Because it's a
Right.
screening test. And the purpose of doing a screening test is to really find it early so that you can intervene.
Well,
And that
it's
would
interest-
definitely change your outcome.
It's interesting. It's nice when the, like Sheila Vilos, their offices send a letter. A
Reminding you.
Reminder, it was a year ago such and such, and you're due for another mammogram. And that's wonderful. It really is, because I think the older you get, the less you remember.
Do you know, Barbara, whether Medicare pays for yearly mammograms?
Yes.
They do. Okay, because since I
Yes.
don't get one, but and I'm on Medicare, but I want to. That's interesting, because I think there are some insurance plans that will say, no, you can't have it every year. And, that's been the contention out there, that they have no right to say that, because most of us are saying that it's only because of the money issue that they don't want to do it. So that
Well,
becomes a problem, especially in, people fear, and our seniors shouldn't fear. If you have Medicare or Medi-Cal, you should be able to, get good care in the United States, and especially here in our valley.
Totally agree. And we do have, great hospitals, great facilities that are available locally in the community where you could get the screening test that is appropriate for you.
The other thing that I've been hearing a lot about is medications, possible side effects, cancer. And I'm fully convinced that that's where my cancer came from, because I was on methotrexate, one shot a week for 6 years
And what were you on methotrexate for?
for psoriatic arthritis.
I see.
In my fingers. And then they stopped making it for several months. And probably in April of my 75th year, I started getting severe indigestion. And I've never had indigestion. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute, something's going on. So I did go to the doctor. And he prescribed a CAT scan. And he called me while I was driving someplace, I don't remember where.
And this is Dr. Felix Barte.
Barte, yes.
Just so
Yes,
our
and
community
he-
knows who our heroes are.
Yes, he said, you need to come into the office right away. And I thought, uh-oh, what's going on? Well, it didn't dawn on me,
Right.
And I made the arrangements to go in that very day. And he told me, he said, you have lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I thought, what? 75 years old and you get cancer? Well, now I'm finding out that as you get older, your body has a tendency to, whoops, all of a sudden you have cancer. But I was referred to Dr. Black, and I was on the verging of, wait a minute, I was on the verge of close to 4th stage.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You're a
And-
survivor.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations.
And Dr. Black said, we need to put you on some intensive chemotherapy. And that's what it was.
And one of the things about Barbara, since I've known her for a long time now, is Barbara physically stayed in great shape. And I think that allowed you to sustain yourself through your treatment. And I think that's an important aspect that our senior women and men should all know, that, physically, how you exercise and how you eat and how you see your doctor, how look at your medications that you're taking. These are all things that our senior folks need to know out there, that it plays a role. And, City of Hope gives hope, but you have to also allow yourself to be a part of that hope.
That's right, you do. You have to stay in good shape.
Totally agree.
Exercise, eat well, and I'm so glad that I was in good shape, because I would have had a harder time surviving it. But chemotherapy might destroy the bad stuff, but it also makes a big difference when it affects the other organs of your body. Because I know I slowed down, and I don't think it was a matter of age, because I was in good shape, but my body has slowed down. I mean, even now, I'll take off down the hall, almost running, and my body says, whoa, 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 whoa. And I have to say to myself, Barbara, slow down. And I'm not a slow down person. I hate it when I have to slow down.
I think one thing I can say with chemotherapy, physically it may take you down, but it's a spirit of the person that,
Absolutely.
if you have a fighting spirit and good support, a lot to say about family members who are there with you.
And friends.
And friends,
And
definitely.
it really makes a difference.
It really
Because
does.
my friends were there for me, and I have so many of them. And it was wonderful. It was. It was a grueling process, but I beat it.
So
But I
happy
had
for
friends
you. Yeah.
sitting with me when I'd go to these 4-hour chemotherapy sessions, and my friends would come and sit with me. My family did when they could get off work, and it was an incredible experience, and I will never forget my friends who stood by me, as well as my family. They were wonderful. And my family, my 2 children and their children live in Palmdale, so they couldn't get down here. You
With
know.
traffic.
That's
In
right.
the morning, 14, definitely. There's a lot of traffic there.
That's very true. But I think we had the evil eye. I think
Sure did.
that evil eye
But
said we need
just
to
as
take a
la-
break.
But as a last notice, is this the end of this segment, or?
Yes, it is the end of this
So
segment.
we're having somebody else on after this?
No.
Oh, okay, so
no.
we're going to continue, but I just wanted to point out, welcome to the community. You are our friends also.
Thank
And
you.
that it's important. We're
happy
going to
be
continue
here.
with this conversation on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located in Old Town Newhall, the CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go to canyontheater.org.
I just want to send a shout out to all my customers. It's Dave Reeves from Reeves Complete Auto Center in Canyon Country.
Reeves, Santa Clarita's choice for quality customer and automotive care.
I've been in automotive service my whole life. I learned customer service and honest communication make the difference.
Reeves, where customers matter.
I really appreciate your business and hope to serve you in the future. Thank you very much.
Reeves, on Ruther in Canyon Country.
Who says nothing good happens after midnight? Denny's is best known for their breakfast served round the clock, like the Grand Slam. But you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner in a casual atmosphere 24/7. At Denny's, the lunch and dinner menu has a variety of appetizers, craveable burgers, salads, and entrees, along with the best desserts in town. Wherever you live in Santa Clarita, there's a Denny's close by. If you're pulling an all-nighter or don't feel like cooking, get into Denny's today. Good stuff is happening at Denny's.
When you want to pair the finest local craft and premium beers with a house special char-grilled tri-tip, MJ's Tap House Grill is just the place. Nowhere else will you find an upscale modern rustic barbecue with the latest in craft beers other than at MJ's Tap House Grill. Catch a game on one of the 9 screens and enjoy a cold one with friends. MJ's Tap House Grill, Miss Soledad Plaza. Delicious modern barbecue featuring local craft and premium beers.
At City of Hope, we don't believe the future can wait for the future. For over a century, we've been advancing science that saves lives. From 4 of the world's top cancer-fighting drugs to the development of synthetic human insulin. We are maximizing the potential of immunotherapy and making precision medicine a reality. It's not enough to promise future cures for cancer. We must find them sooner. We are the miracle of science with soul. Find out more at cityofhope.org.
Hometown. Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Maria De Leon and Mandy Exeda from City of Hope. I'll never get it right.
It's fine. I like how it changes each time.
Exeda.
If it were British, it would be easy. Since it's German, it's much harder.
Well, before the break, we were talking about, or I brought up the fact that so many of the medications that are prescribed to patients for various maladies, some of the side effects are cancer, which is, and I didn't know that when I was taking my medication, but now I'm beginning to see on television various areas where they'll be advertising a medication, and if you don't look at the fine print, you may be in trouble. But I think most of them now, I think, are required to give the possible side effects. And I think that would deter almost anybody from taking some of them. You know, you have to learn to live with your malady.
Yeah.
I have.
But City of Hope, being in our community now, has brought a new expertise to our hospital and the city of Santa Clarita. And I just want to say that I had a patient who at our hospital that it was a very difficult case, and we actually sent her out to a university hospital, and the university hospital said your patient is too high of a risk, and we are not going to operate and send the patient back to us. And one of my colleagues recommended that we ask a City of Hope physician, and we asked Dr. Nien, that's Nien, to evaluate our patient, and he actually took her on and operated on her, and I believe saved her life and pointed her in the right direction. And if not for someone who thought outside the box and said, I can do this and I can handle this case, she would not have had a good prognosis. Now she's got a great prognosis, and we're still managing her, but fact is that when you bring other expertise into the view and examining more eyes, you're going to find those people who will meet that challenge and come forward. And we're very lucky that we and the staff and the family and the patient is very lucky that we had Dr. Nien come on board and say, yeah, I'm going to do this, and he did do it. And I was just so proud that, he's right across the hall from me too, but the fact is he stepped forward and he saved our patient's life. So, it brings upon, City of Hope brings upon not only the research and everything involved with giving good medical care, but it brings a different level of understanding of what you want for your patients in life. And we need that here. We need that kind of caliber of care for the community, because there are going to be even more challenging cases that we find here in Santa Clarita. And, I don't want to have to send them down to a university system. But the fact is, we did that in this case and got a negative result, but yet got a positive result because City of Hope was here for us. So I thank both of you for being here, not just today, but having City of Hope in our community.
Yeah. Well, where are the locations, Mandy? I know you mentioned Duarte.
Mm-hmm. So
where else?
Our main campus is in Duarte, and there's about, I think, 12 or 13 other community practice sites like the one in Santa Clarita. So I specifically work out of the Santa Clarita practice and Mission Hills and Simi Valley. Beyond that, there is Antelope Valley, South Pasadena, Arcadia, West Covina. They're all over. One that opened up recently in Torrance. So.
Now, do you go out of Los Angeles? I mean, down into, say, San Diego and places like that?
I think the farthest one we have is Palm Springs.
Palm Springs for the community practice site is the furthest.
But it brings a knowledge base as well, too, because with computerization and everything we have now, you don't have to be in just one spot or one location to be able to get your word out and get your medical information out. And nowadays, especially with cancer, things are changing so fast that you have to be up to date. And computerization has allowed that, but bringing your physicians into that arena is not easy, but with what we have now, you guys have been able to do that, and you're really not spreading yourself out, you're extending yourselves out to be able to bring that professionalism to all these communities, especially ours. And we're very, as I've said, we've been very happy with City of Hope.
Well, where you say your research area is in Duarte?
Mm-hmm. That's where the main campus is, so that's where the research happens at the Beckman Institute. But the nice thing about having the community practices is that research is translating into our community practice sites. You can get connected to a clinical trial if you want that.
The research that we do in Duarte, it runs a whole gamut. So we do have our very basic science where we're trying to understand how does cancer start? Is there a specific target that we can actually look at and target those specific, what do you call this, proteins that may be allowing the cancer cells to grow and to spread, to translating it into clinical trials. So clinical trials, we do have a bit of clinical trials available in the community, but most of it is still in Duarte. And what it is basically is we do have our standard of care that we offer to our patients. So from surgery to doing your first line chemotherapy, second line chemotherapy, third line. However, if you continue to recur and fail the standard chemotherapy, then we still have other options available for our patients, and that's where the clinical trial comes in. And one thing I would say about clinical trials, that's actually where we find out which drugs work and which drugs doesn't. If you're being part of it, then you're really taking part into something that can potentially in the future be the next best thing. So we encourage our patients to provided they qualify to participate in clinical trials.
Well, let's hope one day that someone will find a cure for cancer. I mean, a downright cure. Okay, do this and it's gone forever. Or find out what causes it.
Well,
'Cause I
and
don't think anybody really knows.
let me explain
causes
my
it.
ongoing theory, so
Okay.
people don't. And yes, they might think I'm a quack, but I
know better.
I do feel that cancer cells are rapidly dividing, and if you cut yourself on your arm, you start to bleed, a process then starts to try to heal, and the cells come together and they multiply during a healing process. You'll get a scab that will fall off, and then you'll have new, and then everything stops. What cancer cells are cells that are replicating, but the stop button on those cells is gone. And what I think, Barbara, is, and I said this 20 years ago, and I told some of the doctors here that what I thought, and they just thought, yes, I was a screwball, but I said that we are going to find genetically and be able to introduce into those cells a stop button that will stop the DNA from replicating, and that'll be the end of that. And I think we're going to be able to apply it to all different kinds of cancers as we go. So, hate to say this, but your job might be in jeopardy. But won't it be great in 25 years? Kids are growing up and they'll say, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, what was cancer?" And I think that is going to happen for the most part. So I think there will be that miraculous cure that we're going to see, but it's not coming because somebody snaps their fingers. No. It's because people who are doing research, like at City of Hope, doing the clinical trials, are going to see a commonality. They're going to start looking into the genetics of it at NIH and everywhere else, and they're going to say, hey, wait a second, these cells are off, these cells are replicating, let's put into these cells, introduce the right DNA, we'll get the stop button in, and boom, it will be gone. So, okay, 20 years from now, people might look back and say, that Dr. Dorio, poor guy, he was saying some things that did not make any sense. But my hope is that people will look back and say, and listen to this show and say, okay, he wasn't a kook or crazy after all.
He knew what he was talking about.
Maybe so, and maybe not. But I do know that City of Hope is nationally rated in the top 10 in our country, which means around the world. So they do a great job there. I've had lots of friends who have worked there as researchers and who have worked there as physicians and clinicians, and I know the work they do, they stay on top of it. So the care that you might get from City of Hope physicians is state of the art. It is top line. It is the best you can find. It is amazing what we have here. And then with certain doctors, like I mentioned, Dr. Nguyen, who also has the courage to be able to step outside that box and, save my patients. I give him that. And I give the City of Hope that too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting what you were saying. reminded me of that little baby, little almost 1-year-old
In England.
Charlie Gard
Yeah.
in England, where they wouldn't allow his parents to bring him to the United States
For that treatment.
for
you're
that
right.
treatment.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was so sad because, how can politics, I guess that's what you'd call it, how could politics stand in the way of medicine? It doesn't make any sense.
And every
Really
day,
doesn't.
Every day in our country, politics steps in our way.
Yes.
Every day that happens, so it's kind of expected. But for Charlie Gard and others who are like him, I think we will recognize that there is a deficiency in the genetics, and we will be able to correct that in utero. And that's probably what you might be doing as well, Maria, that you might be doing that because that's going to be the biggest thing. And that will be in our lifetime, and we'll look back and say, oh, those robotics, they were great, but what we're doing now and changing and engineering the DNA of our bodies is going to be incredible. Of course, government will get in on that, won't they?
Yes.
Some will want a superhuman population that wins all the Olympic Games, blah, 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 blah. Do we want that? Not really.
But Dr. De Leon, wouldn't that be exciting?
It definitely would be very
oh
exciting.
my goodness, to be involved in possibly finding a cure, research-wise. I could imagine that would be so exciting.
There's a lot of things that are very exciting. Just to touch base on it for ovarian cancer in particular. So we went on from chemotherapy, and you've had chemotherapy, the side effects, because it's not only targeting the cancer, it's also affecting the rest of your body.
Yes.
So then we went on to the targeted therapy. So for ovarian cancer, we're also using a specific drugs, PARP inhibitors. So it's definitely targeting and putting a stop on the growth of the tumors, basically. And then now, very excitingly, we're doing immunotherapy for our patients. So studies have shown that really your immune system, is your best defense, not only for
That's
infection, but
right.
also for cancer. So we're trying to boost the patient's immune system to actually fight cancer. There's many different things, and it's very exciting. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah, I think statistically, I've forgotten all the numbers, but I think it was 37% of the patients who had cancer 25 years ago died, were saved, and now 67% are saved. So in 2.5 decades, we've made a huge difference, and we continue to improve on those numbers. But it really goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's preventive care and making sure people understand that when their body is talking to them, and it's saying something is wrong, to heed the warnings. Don't ignore it, and don't put it off, because too many people do end up doing that, and that's becomes a negative when we say you were stage 1 at this point, but now you're stage 4, and we don't have a lot to help you with. You don't want to be on the outside of that wave where you could have been helped.
And that's why it's so important to adhere to a good nutritional program, to exercise, to stay healthy, because a healthy body will be able to fight off a lot of things, very, very bad things that can move in when you don't want them to. But really, what you were talking about, having a good immune system, a healthy immune system, and you can do that. Not necessarily with medication. You can do it with nutrition.
And I think, and that's
exercise.
such a great point, Barbara,
It
because
is.
I think today on the news they're talking about what is organic. And,
Right.
Robin and I look at organic, and, I for years have said on this radio show that I think we are being poisoned as a population by the foods that we eat. And go ahead and keep going to fast foods, but, it's just, you're eating things that are just, you don't know what's in it. I mean, it might taste good, but you don't know what's in it. We shop at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and anything that says organic, we'll examine and read and go to farmers market. That's what we do because we're afraid of the poisons. And, you know, we grow some of our own things. We have grapes in the backyard. We have plums in the backyard. And, you know, we don't put anything unnatural in it. We don't spray it with, put fertilizer on it or spray it with any pesticides. We don't do that. So we think we're eating pretty healthy, and we do think that some of the things that have caused the problems, you know, you think, oh yeah, smoking is a problem, but yeah, it definitely was a problem. But you know, we're also doing things that, you know, like eating and taking foods in that have too many artificial and synthetic additives that, you know, it's going to hurt your body in some way or another.
But there's nothing more delicious than a hamburger.
Oh, yeah.
I had one the other night. Monday. We went to a movie, and I didn't want to cook when we came home because it was a little after 5 when the movie ended. And I said, Russ, let's go get a hamburger.
Did you?
Yes.
Where did you get it from? Can you say?
Jack in the Box.
Yay.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't
and
go...
he got chicken strips.
Well, you guys really got poison there.
Oh, I tell you, you are. But you know, every once in a while, a hamburger from one of these fast food joints
What the heck?
really is, it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to hurt you once in a while.
I agree 1,000% with that.
But the other thing we were talking about, organic, I think most of the supermarkets now have organic sections.
They do, yeah.
And I think it's become more and more prevalent because people are beginning to realize, whoa, wait a minute, what kind of fertilizer was used in this?
Right.
But you know, if it's organic, I think lawfully it has to not have any of those horrible things.
Correct.
So did I hear you say we need to take a break? Whoa, okay, let's take a break, shall we? I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
There's a classic diner in town that combines old-fashioned dining with a hip 21st century menu. They call it trendy nostalgia. They call it Kathy's Deli. Kathy's Deli is a classic diner. Homemade jams, freshly baked breads, and even unique flavored coffee creamers made on site. Experience the fresh, new, yet old-fashioned taste of your local hometown diner. Serving traditional and unique breakfast and lunch delights every day from 7 to 3. Kathy's Deli on Lyons Avenue off Wayman Court.
It's allergy season again. You've tried it all, yet your sinuses continue to be a problem. Try something different, something holistic, something that will really work. Acupuncture. Kathleen Keneally is Santa Clarita's acupuncture and innate specialist. She's been treating many of your neighbors and their children for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and pain. Find out how acupuncture can improve the quality of your life. Call Kathleen Keneally for a free phone consultation. 252-4100. 252-4100. Acupuncture. It really works.
There's a very good reason Gilbertson and LaCourneau have been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 8 years in a row.
There's a lot of orthodontists in our community and a lot of really great doctors.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau.
Artistically, I like nice big smiles. Those are the smiles that wow people. So in all my treatment planning, I don't do a one-size-fits-all. I look at the patient's facial structure and I match their smile to their facial structure.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau of Gilbertson and LaCourneau.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch. Full menu and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Maria De Leon and Mandy Excelada of City of Hope.
It almost sounded like egg salad that time.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
I thought about that too. But anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. We're having fun here, aren't we?
We are.
Well, we're talking about City of Hope, and contained in that is hope, and we've stretched back to the past and maybe to the future, and we're existing right now with robotics and immune therapy. I think all of this exists right now, but not having City of Hope here would be a void. And the fact that we have City of Hope right now has made a huge difference for this community, and will continue to do that because, as I alluded to before, it's the edge of technology that you want to be on. And yeah, if we were living in the boondocks somewhere in the middle of the country, where there's no one around and it's a rural area, that's fine. But we're not. We're in Santa Clarita. We're right outside of Los Angeles. We can make our way down, all the way down to Scripps, to UCLA, to USC, to Stanford. All these institutes are close by. We have also here the City of Hope, and that's made a big difference for Santa Clarita. Not only establishing, your office here, but your doctors here who, Maria, you guys have played a huge role.
I live here. I live in Santa Clarita.
And that
So
makes
you are
it
one of
nice.
us.
That makes it nice then. So are you able to take advantage of Henry Mayo up here?
Yeah, so I see patients in both clinics here in Santa Clarita and also in Mission Hills. So for Santa Clarita patients, when I see them here, I do their surgery in Henry Mayo. Since, the goal of having City of Hope in the community is to really provide the same quality of care that they would have otherwise have gotten when they go to Duarte. So I really like how you put it earlier. It's not just really an extension, right? It's an extension of a family that we have in Duarte, and sending the same physicians have the same quality of care that we offer to our patients, same treatments, same standard of cares. And if something, I said, if something is not available here in the community, we can always send them to the main campus where clinical trials is available for the patients. But again, it's the same quality of care. I wanted to emphasize on that.
That's incredible. It really is. And I'm so glad that you are up here and have people up here in our community have a choice, They really do, and that makes it nice. And I wanted to kind of change the subject a little bit. How did you get involved? What made you decide to
In
become a doctor?
Oh, in medicine.
In medicine.
Let's see. I grew up in the Philippines, so I grew up in a third world country, and seeing people were still dying from tuberculosis there, and something that's already been eradicated and something that shouldn't be happening. So early on, as I was growing up, I knew then that I wanted to go to medicine. So that really inspired me to be somebody, that can prevent, that can present hope to patients, City of Hope, and not only that, be really of help to people in terms of their health and make their lives easier to live with and better. And so then when we moved to the United States, I was about 15 years old when we moved here. It wasn't an easy journey, I would say. I did speak English then, but I grew up learning a different, it's not even the national language, it was a dialect. So I grew up learning a dialect first, and then I learned the national language for the Philippines, and then English as I grew older. So basically I went to a community college, and then I transferred to a university, and then I went to medical school. I actually did it here. I was a Bruins. I was a UCLA graduate. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then why OBGYN and why cancer? So initially I thought, I want to be an internal medicine doctor because an internal medicine doctor can do everything.
That's right.
Right. You can take care of, your pediatrician patients. You can have the family, the parents to their kids. You can take care of their kidneys, their lungs, their heart. And then when I was a medical student, I did my rotation for surgery, and that's how I fell in love with surgery. And for the OBGYN, with an OBGYN, it's a GYN part that does the surgery. And why cancer? Because cancer you get through the journey with the patient, from the start, from the surgical point of view, to giving the chemotherapy and being a part of it, and also again we're being a part of a team, and that team is not only a team of physicians, it's also a team of their family.
Right.
And being a part of that family and it's just an amazing experience. As a human being, it changes you.
Wow.
Yeah,
It really
but
changes
you see people in all walks of life with all
So
kinds
true.
of problems.
And every day is not the same.
That's
I have
right.
to say, not every day is not the same.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On your journey here and being a part of the team here, because that's exactly what you need when you are a patient. And our seniors know that you have to have lots of people around you that know what they're doing and can, guide you in the direction you're going to go, and that's what a team is. And, we're very thankful that City of Hope is here. We're just happy that you have decided to be involved here, and they brought your crew up, brought more eyes, and the technology. And we thank you both for being here on our show today.
Thank you for having us.
thanks
It's
for
a
having
privilege.
us.
And
Thank
having this
you.
information to them. So, if they need to get a hold of you, Mandy, how do we? Is there a phone number that we can call?
So patients can call our local number 661-799-1999. To be connected to new patient services, or they can call my direct cell phone, honestly, as well, which I will give that out. It's 626-224-0648, and I can connect them as well if they're having issues with new patient services. So we're here.
Great, you guys. Great show today. Thank you for all the information. We appreciate it. Our seniors love this, and especially when they have options and choices, right, Barbara?
Absolutely.
It's been a great show today, and thank you once again. Your phone number is 799-1999. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in-Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and